Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kat, and for today, oh man, we have a whole bunch of palettes, just all of them. It's it's a lot, but what I thought that we would do today is we're gonna swatch a whole bunch of shades from all of these palettes. Essentially, I came across the Sugar Drizzle palette, and as I was looking at it, I was like, a lot of these shimmers look super duper similar to some of the shimmers that I was noticing with the Adept palettes that I had gotten. And so we have the Plain Jane and the Ninhydrin, and I had done a video where I swatched both of these for you guys, did some eye looks. And so when I saw the Sugar Drizzle palette, I was like, you know, I'm seeing things that look really, really similar. And then I had the Break the Rules palette, and I was like, looking real similar. And then I had the Alien Cosmetics palette, and there's really only one that super duper stands out to me as looking very similar. The rest of them are kind of on their own. Either way, I just, for curiosity's sake, was like, I want to swatch and see just how similar they are. And I will say that the owner of Adept Cosmetics is absolutely amazing with how transparent she is, and she did let everybody on her Instagram channel know that the original formula that she had for the Plain Jane and Ninhydrin palettes, she did sell that formula, and so there are other brands that have access to that particular formula. And so that's probably part of why I am seeing some very similar shades, and so I just wanted to let you guys know, hey, which brands are real similar to each other and which ones are still a little bit more on the unique side. So just right off the bat, I can definitely tell you that the Alien Cosmetics one is more unique. The middle shade is the only one that I really noticed as being like super duper similar to anything. The other metallics, the two greens that are here, and then the gold and the deeper red, not so much. We'll still swatch a couple of them just to see, to be sure, but they were looking more unique to me. However, within the ItsBel Break the Rules palette and the Sugar Drizzle one, within both of these, there are definitely some shades that are super duper similar to the Plain Jane ones. And I mean, you can still see there are some differences within the color stories. So even as they are laid out within the palettes, they're not identical, but I just wanted to see how close the formula was. So that's what we are doing today. Also, if you're curious as to what is on my eyes, I went with a super smoky look from the new Codeine palette, which definitely has some deeper shades, and I'm not really gonna swatch any of those today just because I can assure you that none of these looked like any of the others in any of the other palettes. These were all definitely deeper shimmers that were going on, and so there wasn't really anything where I was like, that looks like something. But if you do want to have a video where I swatch the Codeine palette for you guys, do another eye look, I absolutely can do that. Just let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see that. But for now, we are going to jump right into just a boatload of comparison swatches, which, aside from just swatching the palettes in general, comparison swatches are probably one of my favorite things to do. So we're gonna jump right in, and I have my handy dandy notes because we know when I do these, I am thorough. All right, so the first shade up that we're gonna be doing is more of the bright pink shades. So like more of your hot pink type shade. And the first one up that we're gonna have is from the ItsBel Cosmetics palette, which is the Break the Rules one, and it's the shade Bold. And there you go. Very soft consistency, very nice and opaque. Has a bit of a magenta with like reddish undertones shift, and then a little bit of gold sparkle. So a bit of a red to magenta is what I'm noticing. Then from the Plain Jane palette from Adept, we have the ACI 12 shade, which I can already say consistency wise, slightly drier, but still more on that like wet feeling. Yeah. Yep. Tell me which one's which if I didn't just tell you. That looks super duper similar. The shift is the exact same between the red and the magenta. Level of opacity looks identical. And then the third one is going to be from the Sugar Drizzle palette. It's the Sugar Mama shade. Consistency again feels the same, nice and soft. Yeah. All right. Well, they definitely look the same to me. You guys let me know. But I think that's already just the first set of shades up they look identical to me. So, all right. Next, we're gonna switch gears a little, and I am gonna bounce around on shades just so we're not seeing like just a row of red shades. So we're gonna go on to a green Shifty shade next. And so we have 4 different ones that may or may not be similar to each other. So we're gonna find out. The first one up, I think, is the least similar, is going to be the 2 green shades from the Alien Cosmetics palette. And honestly, I don't think either of them is really going to be the same, but we'll swatch both of them just to see, because it's kind of in the pan, a little bit hard to tell. So here's the first one up, which is the deeper of the 2, and this one has like a green to gold to orange shift to it. Very beautiful shade. And then the other one is more of just a lime greeny shade. So already just those 2 together, not the same, obviously. But I wasn't quite sure how the others would swatch out in comparison. I have a feeling that of the 2, this guy is going to be the one that might show up a little bit more similar to the other ones. Oh. All right, next up is going to be the ItsBel Cosmetics one, and that is the Not Listening shade. Here we go. Okay. I definitely can say they're not the same by any means. This guy is much more transparent, also has more of a green, like, to pink finish, so definitely not the same as this guy. This one is also significantly more opaque, whereas this guy, let me show you close. So up close you can see this one is definitely a little bit more transparent on there, whereas this guy is definitely more opaque. Also looks like it has a bit of that brown base to it, and so definitely not the same. Okay, so then we come to the 2 Adept Cosmetics palettes, and the first shade up is going to be ACI 9. Still that soft consistency. Oh, it's similar. Okay. So, not similar to either of the Alien Cosmetics ones. It is super duper similar to the ItsBel Cosmetics one. I will, however, say that it is coming across to me, at least, ever so slightly more opaque. But you can see there the shift is identical between the 2. And I honestly think they're pretty much the same. I just don't know if I grabbed like a strong enough swatch with this guy, but they're the same with the colors of the shifts. So then the other Adept Cosmetics shade, which I would hope is not the same since it's coming from 2 different palettes, is going to be the ACI 25. So let's see that guy. Yeah, it's probably not going to be the same. It looks significantly deeper. Yeah, okay. This is just a nice green to bluish shift. Actually, I don't think it's a blue shift. I think it just has a darker gray base to it, and it's a green to pink. So it's like the deeper version of these 2 with how it's shifting. But yeah, not the same. So the only 2 out of all of those that are the same is the ItsBel Cosmetics one and the Plain Jane one. So next we're gonna move on to more of like the purple to blue shift, and I think that this guy is the one where we're gonna have the most potential to come across the same thing, because I saw this shade like across the board in all of the palettes. So let's get to swatching. So first up is going to be the Alien Cosmetics palette. It's their shade in the center there. All right. Okay, very liquidy consistency, very soft, has a little bit sheer, has a pink base to it, and it shifts from blue to pink to purple. So there you can see that shine with the blue to pink to purple with the reddish pink base to it. So that is our starting point for all of these. Then we have 2 potential options from the Plain Jane palette. We have ACI 6 and then ACI 11, and I feel like out of the 2, the ACI 11 one is going to be the more similar. Yeah, no, this guy is definitely doesn't have that red base to it. It's just a blue to purple shift. Still sheer though, but you can definitely see doesn't have that red base to it, so you're just seeing the pink to blue to purple without the reddish undertones. But the other guy, the ACI 11, could be. Here we go. also not very cool. So this guy does have a little bit more of a purplish magenta undertone to it, but it's a really nice purple to pink to almost peachish kind of shift on there with a little bit of some bluish undertones, but so far all three different. So then the next one up is going to be in the ItsBel Cosmetics palette, and that's going to be the Go Rogue shade. Oh, okay. So that one is actually very similar to the ACI 11 that we just swatched. Not similar to this guy. These two are super duper similar though. Yeah, that shift is very similar to me. Okay, and then the last one, or do we have two? Okay, we have two in the Sugar Drizzle palette that could be the same. First one is going to be Sugar Sugar, and then we have Sugar Cube. So Sugar Sugar is this guy right here, which, okay, so that one looks actually very, very similar to the first of the two Adept Cosmetics ones that we swatched. So the ACI 6 looks very similar to that one. Okay, so yeah, those two right here are now similar. And then the other one is Sugar Cube, which now I feel like is going to be the same as the others that we just swatched. Yep. Okay, so these two and this guy, so we have the second one from the Plain Jane palette, the ItsBel Cosmetics, and now the Sugar Drizzle. Those three are very much the same, and then this guy and this guy are very much the same. So to me, it seems like the Sugar Drizzle palette for sure has some shades that are the same. There are definitely some unique shades though as well within all of these palettes that are not the same. I do want to point that out. I am just for today swatching the ones that I think are similar. And so, because otherwise if I swatch all of it, we would be here for days. And I don't want to put you guys through that. So we're just going to swatch the shades that are similar rather than also looking at the unique shades. But I can definitely tell you guys that just off the top, looking at them, 1, 2, 3, there's at least 4 shades in the Sugar Drizzle palette that I am not seeing in the other palettes, and in the ItsBel Cosmetics one, there's at least 2 or no, definitely 3 shades that are not the same. So we are having unique shades to be sure, but there are also definitely some clearly that are very similar. All right, so next shades that we're going to be taking a look at are more of your like burnt rose but leading towards purple type shift. And so we have 3 that look very similar to me for that one. And so we're going to start swatching on this arm. First one up is going to be in the Plain Jane palette from Adept Cosmetics. It's the ACI 4. So here we go. All right, very nice. Definitely has like a bit of like gold sparkle on top, a little bit more sheer, not quite completely opaque, and is like a nice burnt rosy purple. Then we have from the ItsBel Cosmetics palette the Make Me shade. Okay, and they are identical to me. Same goldish sparkles on top, same purplish shift going on. Yep, that to me is the same with how I'm looking at it. Same level of sheer, all of it. And then the last one is from the Sugar Drizzle palette. We have the Sugar Bear shade. Yep, those 3 are the same. I definitely, I'm not seeing any difference on there. They all have the same level of opacity, same shift, same sparkle. Tis the same. Okay, then we have just 2 shades that I thought looked kind of similar that I wanted to swatch, and that is just the true purple shades, where I'm not really noticing too much of a shift. If anything, it would be from purple to like a bluish, but really just a very deep royal purple. First one is going to be from the Ninhydrin palette, and that's the ACI 23 shade. Looks like this, very opaque, very solid shade. Has like little bit of goldish speckles on top, but primarily just a really nice deep royal purple shade. And then the other one is going to be from the Sugar Drizzle palette. It's the Sugar Me Sweet shade, and I can definitely tell you guys that just from touching it, the consistency is very much similar, that it's a little bit one of those thicker, drier consistencies. However, that is not the same. See what I mean? You have some unique shades in here. This guy definitely, oh, this one has a shift first off, whereas this guy is just primarily a nice deep purple. This guy has a shift from purple to blue to almost green. Very opaque, but no sparkle. Like this guy has gold sparkle in it, no sparkle that I'm seeing on this one. You can definitely see already just the purple pieces on there are not the same. This has a lighter purple, this is definitely deeper. And then you can kind of see where that shift goes from just at the edge. I think you guys can see a tiny bit of that greenish shift on there, but definitely not the same by any means. Those two are not at all the same. All right, next up we have three shades that are more of like your gold leaning shades, but more of like a rose gold. So we have two actually from the Adept Cosmetics palettes, and then we have one from the ItsBel. So from the Plain Jane palette, we have ACI 3. And I think this is one that when I was swatching the Adept Cosmetics in my previous video, I had noticed that they were kind of similar to each other, but I don't think they were completely the same. So this guy definitely has like a rose gold with like more of a goldish sparkle on top, but not too much of a shift. And then the other one is the ACI 18 from the Ninhydrin palette. Definitely similar. I think the primary difference is the thickness of the consistency of the formula, because the shades themselves are definitely very similar to each other, but this guy slightly more opaque than this one is. This is a little bit more sheer, and I think that the color richness is a little bit more on this one than it is on this guy. But as far as like what I am seeing color-wise, they definitely appear to be very, very similar. This one might be a smidge lighter, but I can't tell if that's from just it being more sheer than this guy. But I think the color to me comes across as the same, just the consistency of the formula is a little bit different. And then the third one is from ItsBel Cosmetics. It's the Just Watch shade. Go. Okay, also get the feeling that that color is the same. And I think out of the two of them, the consistency is more similar to this guy than to this one. So more similar to the Ninhydrin than the Plain Jane swatch. But the color, again, very much the same. The sparkle is very much the same. So those three, no matter what, are very similar, but I just think that these two, sheerness-wise, are more similar. All right, then next up we have another shade that is kind of an interesting shift. It's like a peachy tone to blue, and there are two where I feel like they could be the same. And the first one is up from the Plain Jane palette. It's ACI 7. Where am I? There we go. Okay, so peach to greenish almost, and then I'm getting pink and blue. So this is many different shifts on there. Also definitely more sheer, even more sheer than these guys were. This guy's super sheer. And then the other palette that has it is the Sugar Drizzle palette. It's Sugar Babes is the shade. There we go. Yeah, those are the same for sure. Same level of opacity, same shift. That is the same. All right, so next up is going to be more of a sky blue shifty shade where I can't quite tell what the shift is exactly, if it's like to pink or green, but we're gonna swatch it either way. So first up is gonna be from Adept Cosmetics, the Plain Jane palette ACI 8. Definitely more on the sheer side again, and this guy is shifting from blue to purple to pink. Although it looks almost clear on my arm because it's very, very sheer. Next up is going to be from ItsBel Cosmetics, the Your Choice shade. I don't know how to handle that. I was not expecting that to, because in the pan, they don't look anything alike. This guy definitely looks very similar to that guy. That shift looks the same level of sheer. Tis the same to me. And then the last one is going to be in the Sugar Drizzle palette. It's the Sugar Bubbles shade. Also the same. So there you go. That is all 3 of those. Okay, so the last ones that we are going to swatch are kind of interesting. It's a bit of like a teal bluish to purple shift. Can't quite tell. So there are 2. The first one is going to be from the Ninhydrin palette. It's the shade ACI 24. And I'm just going to put it right here. Oh, she is pigmented and bold. That is very opaque, very solid, very wet looking. Has a bit of a maroonish base to it. And then has a shift from teal blue, definitely to purple, with almost a bit of a greenish, but I think that's just more of the teal coming out. I don't think it's quite green, but very, very nice, very solidly opaque. And then the other palette that maybe has this is the Sugar Drizzle palette with the shade Sugar Spun. The consistency feels very similar again. I would say they're similar for sure, but the same, absolutely not. They both do have that reddish base. However, I would say that this is a significantly deeper tone of teal, whereas this is much more of a pastel to light teal. And you can definitely see way more of that red base underneath. So they are absolutely not the same by any stretch. They do just both have a bit of that maroonish base, and then it has a teal shift, but as far as being the same, definitely not. I will, however, say that the consistency is very similar, that they're both that wet kind of look to them, along with a bit of that thicker consistency as you are swatching them. Not quite that soft feeling of some of the others. I did spot one more that I think might be similar, so I do want to swatch it just to be sure that they're not, but they might be. So the first one is going to be from the Ninhydrin palette. It's the ACI 19 shade. Here we go. Also a nice thicker consistency, definitely a multi-chrome. Goes from green to peachish to, you guys are seeing purples and pinks. So there you can see at the top that green as it's trying to focus. And then goes to the magenta. Lots of shift on there. Very strong shade. And the other shade that I thought looked kind of similar, but now I'm like, is from the Sugar Drizzle palette. The Sugar Delight shade might be the same. Okay, I definitely think that the shift is similar, that it's also a multi-chrome, but you can definitely tell way more sheer, not nearly as thick of a consistency. And so even though the shift to me comes across as very, very similar, the consistency of the formula is absolutely not the same. So they do look similar, but yeah, no, definitely not the same exact thing by any means. So I think overall we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades total out of everything that we swatched that are actually coming across as the same, and then a few where they turned out to not be the same. So I think that's really, really interesting. This was super fun to do, to just have like 4 different brands that we were swatching and have so many things end up being similar or actually exactly the same. Very, very interesting. I will say, I think Alien Cosmetics is different. I think this guy was the only one that really showed up anywhere close, and even that one was not identical. And so completely unique with Alien Cosmetics. I think that Adept, ItsBel, and Sugar Drizzle definitely have a lot of shades that are completely identical, but there are also plenty of shades in all of the palettes that are unique. And so I think no matter which way you go, you're gonna get a good mix of whatever. And so really, I think it just comes down to, do you prefer circle or square shaped pants? Because that's kind of the primary difference visually that I am seeing. I will also say that Adept Cosmetics includes mattes in 2 of the 3 palettes that I have from them. The Ninhydrin and the Codain both have matte shades, as well as the shimmers, whereas ItsBel and Sugar Drizzle, both of these are just purely shimmer palettes. But even just holding them up next to each other, you can see that there are definitely shades that are different. And so I think that's super duper fun that we did this. Definitely had some things confirmed, some things where I was like, interesting, proved me wrong. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. What did you guys think of everything? Thoughts? Have you guys grabbed any of these palettes and tried them out? Have you grabbed more than one of them and you also noticed some similarities? I would love to know. Do you guys want to see more of this type of video where I'm showing you between different brands what's the same, what's not? Let me know either way. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. As always, let me know either way, it doesn't matter. And if you made it to the end of the video and you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would kick a subscribe my way. Come join my family here on YouTube. We just do all kinds of indie brands, lots of color, lots of shimmers, swatches galore. If I'm not covered in swatches by the end of the video, did I even do it right? I don't think so. But either way, please subscribe. Come join me on here. Come join the rest of us. We have awesome conversations down in the comments. And other than that, you guys just go have a good one.